Hey, there I am. Hey, everybody. All right, let me get my comments set up here. We got a lot to do tonight. I am ambitious. All right, Arc Knight, Zany, you're awake. Robert, Hun Puppies, hello, everybody. A lot on the agenda tonight. I got a brain full of Hawaiian Puff, which means it's going like right now. So I got 100 things I want to get done tonight, and one of them is going to be the 125. That's going to be the main project, and pulling the red tiger lotus out of there is going to be the main goal of that project, and that's going to be a pain in the ass. It always is. So we're going to do that. We are in the process of filling up the goldfish tank. Just did about a 50% water change. I just reversed the flow right before we went live. But Wednesday there, the black one, you can see has some white spots developing on her. And her other side looks even worse. And so I did a water change last week. I've had spots like this develop on the goldfish before. And usually when I do a good water change, it just clears up. And so it didn't. I treated with Canaplex just to be on the safe side. Wasn't really sure what I'm looking at. Still not. So tonight we are going to do a fairly hardy water change, get some of that Canaplex out of the tank. And we're going to salt the tank when we fill it up again tonight. And I'm also going to add crushed coral in there. There's a possibility that the very low mineralization in my water might have something to do with it. I don't know. But we are going to salt the tank. We're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. That's the salt we're going to put in there. I know that might look like a lot, but we'll talk about it. So we're going to feed the goldfish tank while we're letting this fill up. And when that's done, we'll start working on the 125. I do also want to get in the other 125 and vac out some of the crud, but we can do that while the other 125 is draining and I've got the plants out of there and all that sort of stuff. That'll be something that we can, if we get it done, we get it done. Not too worried about it. Oh, I also put, I told you, I also put my shrimp trap in the shrimp tank about 20 minutes ago. I've already seen a bunch of shrimp crawl into it. So hang on, let me set this down so it's not over top the hose, just in case I need to move it. So at some point, if I remember, we'll check the shrimp trap. And I'm still looking over at the wrong side of the room for the monitor. Where are we going here? All right. That's as close as we're going to get. The tank is murky because I've been walking in and out of here doing all kind of stuff. I've already been in here tinkering around for the last 2 hours. I tried to take a nap today, but like I said, I'm down to I got nothing but Hawaiian Puff to smoke. And so my brain's been, let's just say a nap didn't work out. And so I came back down here and just started tinkering around. Even though I put the floating goldfish pellets in there, I still have to put the flakes in because I have a lot of other fish besides the koi and goldfish, if you're not familiar with this pond. So I got to make sure everybody gets food. All right, let's see who else we got chatting with us. Neil, how are you? So I also did a nitrate test on the goldfish tank last week before I did the water change. And before I go any further, I know most of you watching right now probably, I only got a handful of you, so you're probably regulars. But you know the deal with nitrate. Nitrate itself is not harmful to the fish in any reasonable numbers. You got to be up into the ridiculous numbers before it starts becoming problematic in and of itself. It is, however, a good proxy. And by that, I mean that you can look at it as the nitrate increases in your tank. You can assume it's because of all these different chemical processes that are happening and so on and so forth. And so over time, it's just a way to sort of measure the other sort of unmeasurable things or the much more difficult to measure things that are going on in your tank. And so you can just kind of use that as a quick go-to. Okay, it's, you know, really dark red. I guess I should do a water change. It's been a while. And that's about all I ever use it for, just out of curiosity. So I did the nitrate test. It wasn't even at 40 parts per million. And so out of thoroughness, I did another one tonight. That was the water before the water change. And so again, we're still under 40 parts per million. We're about 20 parts per million. And goldfish are tanks. You know, they can deal with some pretty cruddy water. So I'm not really sure what's causing the issues on this fish. I'm beginning to wonder if maybe it's rub marks because of the woodwork. Maybe it's like hunkering down at night up against a spot in the wood and it's rubbing it. I suppose that's a possibility. The other two seem fine. I can't see anything on them that looks unusual at all. So I don't know. But as the tank fills back up, we'll start adding that salt, and I'll show you that, and we'll talk about the salt here in a minute. But first, I'm going to put a little more smoke on that water. So cheers, everybody. Oh, I brought in everything I need except a lighter. Let me go get that. Well, there will be other things I need as the evening goes on, like my iced tea and whatnot, but I can get that when I need it. Bringing the bong in without the lighter was kind of pointless. All right. We've still got a ways to go on that tank filling up. I did wipe down the glass on the other 125, but only in a rudimentary sort of way, so it looks decent enough. Aquarium Boss, how are you doing? Like that smash button. Janice. All right, so let's do this before we feed this tank. We'll get in here while the other one's filling. I can get that out of the way now. I've also got something that I'm going to use to make a hanger for the plants in the goldfish tank that we're working on tonight. But I think I'm going to do that as a standalone video. I need to start posting more videos, and maybe if I'm feeling chatty later, we'll talk about that, me shooting more videos and posting more standalone videos and whatnot. Been reconsidering my YouTube once again. So whether I feel like talking about that or not will depend. All right, what are we going to do? You're going to be in a better position over here. I'm thinking feeding. I forgot we're going to do this first. So I don't have a mechanical filter on this tank. It's just circulation and sponge filters. And so the crud really builds up, and I got to get in there myself and get it out. So I have an area right in here that collects a bunch of crud. I'll be getting that out. There's a bunch of crud here. I'll get as much of that out as I can. And then you can see what this corner looks like. And so we'll try to pull as much of that out as we can. And I got a 5-gallon bucket, and we're going to use my regular gravel vac with just a 4 or 5 foot hose on it, or, you know, going into the bucket. And that way we can keep using the hose in the goldfish tank, and we'll use this in here. And I find that this tank is, now that I've been doing it this way, it's actually a lot cleaner than when I was running the canister filter on it. All right, calm down, everybody. Don't stir your shit all up. Now, there's a ton of crap in here that's going to get stuck as soon as I start. Oh, I shouldn't do that. The missus is already in bed. I should go get something to scrape this out with. Hang on. There's a bunch of leafy crud in here from the last time I used it, and I know as soon as I start sucking water into it, it's just going to clog up on me, so I might as well get the jump on it. Fortunately, I have a lot of plant stakes and long, pointy bits here in my grow room. And I'm just about getting it out. It's like a bunch of roots and nasty shit. There we go. I can do that over here, but over there, I'm pretty much directly under the bedroom when we're at the 125. And so me even talking goes right up through the floor. Banging on a plastic bucket's probably not ideal. All right, let's see if we can get this one going. It should give us a nice good vacuum. Ooh, calm down, everybody. Damn, you stirred all your crap up. I wanted to get that. Hopefully a lot of it will settle back down. I don't know if you can see how much is flooding on up in there, but it's really getting a lot out. Come on, guys, you know the routine here. I'm going to have to pull it out and restart it to get up into that corner. I don't have enough hose to stretch it all the way over there. I should have put it in on the other side of the centerpiece, come in from the other direction, but it didn't. It's too late now. All right, that's about half the bucket. We can probably get the other half just in that one. Well, that cleared some of it out. All right, let's move the bucket over here. Let's scare the hell out of the fish again. Hang on, let me get this fan out of my way too. There we go. Now I'm not going to be tripping over shit. Oh, is that a dead fish? No, it's just leaves. It's a lot of them, though. Good grief. That's going to clog the shit out of this thing. There's so much stuff in this corner. Yeah, it's already clogged from all that stuff. What the hell is this white thing? Oh, it's an Anubias leaf. No wonder it won't fold in half. Usually when the leaves are all dead and rotten like that, they just kind of fold in half and get slurped up because they're mushy, but that was just almost solid. That's what I thought was the dead fish. It's just an Anubias leaf. Man, you see how skittish these silver dollars are. It's not like this is the first time. You can, also see how big they are. They've been doing this for quite a few years now, and yet they still get completely sketched out every time I get in the tank or walk past it too quickly. All right. Oh, shit, I forgot we're filling that goldfish tank. We're still good. We got about a half an inch left to go, so we averted disaster. All right, let me get this out of the way. All right, I don't suppose there's any point in feeding that tank. So let's turn our attention back to the goldfish tank, and we will get this salted. And once those suckers come off the back, I don't know if they're going to go back on properly. Hopefully I got them in the right spot. If not, they got stuck over a spot that's got algae growing on it, and that doesn't last very long when you do that. All right, we can take the hose right out of there and go straight into the 125 and top that off from the water we just drained out of it. Let's finish this one first. I finally found a brand of vape juice that's readily available and fucking delicious. I'm so happy with it. Thomas and Friends. Driftwood, hello. Yeah, today could be the day I snatch those bastards. They definitely know when you're coming in with a net. This is it's not red. I did a red Sharpie on it. It's actually clear. All the flavors of this new brand are clear, which I like. But I've colored the pods different colors, so I know which one is which. But I think this is my favorite out of the 3 new flavors I got. I got watermelon apple, and it tastes exactly like a watermelon Jolly Rancher, so it's awesome. And the next one I tried was grape apple, and it tastes exactly like a grape popsicle, which is awesome. And then the one I got yesterday is called cherry berry. And hear me out on this one. I know it might not sound good at first, but it is so good. It tastes exactly like a Luden's cherry cough drop. Now, if you've never had a Luden's cherry cough drop, that might sound gross because I'm saying cough drop, but it tastes more like a cherry candy than it does a cough drop, and that's exactly what this stuff tastes like. It's so delicious. So I'm stoked. All right, what else do we got to do? We got to get this tank topped off, and I will feed them eventually. We're going to get working on the 125 here in a minute, but let's go over here real quick. And we got to salt this tank too. I don't want to do that just yet because I want to pay attention to the tank we're chopping off. So let's just do a quick feed on this one. Probably going to try to get in here at some point and get the duckweed out of there. Throw that in the goldfish tank because it's getting kind of out of control. Man, that tank feels like bathtub water compared to the goldfish pond. I did check the temperature on the goldfish. I know they're cold water fish, but just to be on the safe side, check as many simple parameters as I can. The temperature was 73.4 or something, so not even cold by most fish standards, let alone goldfish. All right, let me get this tank opened up and ready. Let me get this out of my way. All right, we are just about done topping off the 125. Not a lot to look at in that tank anyway, just a lot of green with a few fish swimming around in it. That's more of a garden with a fish in it than it is a fish tank with plants in it. Let me spin you around. Still working with the broken tripod. This will give you a good demonstration of why having a pond in the basement comes in handy. This power head gets clogged up so easily and so often. Little bits of the silver dollars nibble on the anubias, and little chip-sized chunks come off, and then they get stuck in here, and they go into it, but they don't come out the front screen, and they wind up really disrupting the flow. I usually have to get tweezers in there and pull them out, but I got a little brush here that I use just for this. Got one chunk in there that just won't come out. Let's see if I can get it with my fingers. Yep, I got it. All right, so now we got some water flowing again. All right, another moment or two and we'll be ready. Hey, Logan, how are you? Dandelion, hello. I got the device at, and they're really common. It's pronounced Cross, but it looks like X Ross. I got the little mini. I did actually order a nicer one that'll be here on Tuesday, but I got the little mini with the replaceable pods on it. $20. Hits pretty nice, but it's ready for me to upgrade to something a little bigger, a little more hardy. But at any rate, I got that at Element Vape. If you want to ever buy vape stuff, Element Vape is a good place to do it. And then I bought the e-liquid at a local vape shop, but they also sell it online pretty much anywhere you want. The brand is Cloud Nerds. And that's NURDZ. And their flavors are just really, really good. It's not a huge line of flavors, but they're all sort of those basic, simple flavors I always talk about. All these crazy mixtures of, breakfast and dessert and milkshakes and like, just give me like some apple candy tasting stuff, And that's what this stuff is. It's really good. It's not harsh on my throat. Nice sweet flavor, but not overwhelmingly sweet. And apparently, I've tried to order some stuff here in Maryland. It's against the law to ship tobacco or nicotine products by mail to Maryland. So I tried to order it from the Element Vape, and they wouldn't ship it to me. And Steve told me that he's never been able to get anybody to ship him the e-juice either. But before I knew that, the first place I ordered it from was a place called E-Juice Connect, and they shipped it to me. So I got a bottle from them, and I'm probably going to order more. All right. We are officially draining the tank at the moment. Let me unplug this power head. This tank still does have a filter on it, so we need to shut that off. The heaters will shut themselves off when the water level gets low. All right, so the filter is off, tank is draining, power head is off. I think this is probably going to have to be the first thing we deal with, is that friggin' monster of that stuff. I don't feel like carrying the heavy bucket out of the other room, so let me go find another empty one. Oh, look, there's one. Let me pull some of this hose out of my way so I don't trip over it. Definitely going to need these. All right, is that too much glare? Can you guys see what's going on? Let me elevate you up a little bit. Maybe that's a little too much. That's like my eyeball height. All right, that should be good enough. All right, first thing we got to do is, I really do not feel like doing this. Oh, there's so many plants growing out of there. Good grief. Now, a lot of it is other stuff. I'm not even sure what it is back there. I think it might be this crypt has made it all the way into that back corner. There's so many of those. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. You know what? Let's do a bong hit first. This tank alone is probably going to take the rest of the evening. We'll do a medium-sized, small bong hit. Oh, there's still weed in here. No, that's just ash. Never mind. All right, on second thought, let's make it a big bong hit. No, that's perfect. Remember my ashtray tonight. I don't have to ash in the pond, but it's another good use for a pond if you've got one in your fish room. All right, now I'm ready. All right, I guess there's no way to do this other than to just do it. Let's get down there and see what we got going on. Oh, we got so much going on. Good God. Holy crap. I don't know if I'm going to be able to divide these out or not. It's going to pull half the tank out with it. I guess I should just grab a handful and yank and see what happens. I'm just kidding. Never do that. I'm just going to try to work my fingers down into the soil, sand, gravel, whatever you want to call this. See if I can get under some of these bulbs. Oh, man. I got a few spots out in the yard that's going to be like this with hostas and daylilies and stuff that we got to get out and divide. Oh, I really am pulling up like half the tank with this. That's just one plant. Maybe there's two in there. Can you see the size of that root ball? All right. This is going to be the hard but easy part. The size of that thing. So I've got some tiger lotus if anybody's interested. That's one. Pulling these leaves out is going to be a nightmare too. Here's another one. Well, that one came out pretty much intact, but that's a whole plant right there. No, I should have a place to throw trash too. You'd think I would, wouldn't you? I kind of do, but it's a little trash can. It's going to have to do. I'm not even going to deal with that right now. Make it feel like I pulled a giant tooth out of my tank. Do I want to pull any more out? Yeah, I think I could get one more. Oh, I got just the tuber, no gravel or anything with this one. That's just the tuber. Look at the size of that thing. I thought I had a chunk of wood in my hand, but that's nice. I could put that out of my pond if this wasn't a tropical plant. My pond out in the backyard, that is. Oh, there's something squishy back there. What the fuck was that? I wonder if there's a dead fish back in that corner that I just grabbed a hold of. Maybe it was a tuber. I'm afraid to reach in there again and find out what it was because it felt really gross. All right, let's try to pull some of this shit out while I get my nerve up to reach in there and touch that thing again. Oh, this trash can is going to be way too small. I gotta say, it was a lot easier to do it like this. Last time I tried to pull the bulbs out without cutting them, and I just tried to like work all the leaves out, and it was not easy, and it wasn't even really that successful. That actually looks like the start of a plant, so we'll save that. All right, I'm hoping I'll be able to see in and see what that squishy thing was if it's the water settles down enough. I really don't want to grab it again. I think it's just a ball of roots, but I'm gonna wait and be sure. I did not like the way that felt. All right, it's getting to where I think, oh, it's another tiny little baby one. There's a ton of little baby ones in the bottom, but only a couple really massive root balls. And I got two of them. There's one left, so I'm leaving that one in there. And then, of course, there's a ton of little small ones all around it. And in time, those will be huge ones that I can pull out. It's hard to tell which ones are still attached and which ones have been cut. The easiest way to do it is look for the cut ends and then go from there. If I try going from the pads and working my way backwards and driving myself crazy. All right, I think that's about enough of that. All right, do we want to tackle some of that crypt? I guess I should. I'm in here doing it. I may as well do it. Let's see about some of this Java fern too. That's getting a little out of control. No, that's not too bad. We'll leave that alone for now, I think. We can pull a little of this off the back. It is kind of interfering with the filter flow. I've actually got Java Windelove growing out of one of the filter holes, one of the holes on the spray bar. All right, I'm going to rinse this in the pond because it's got duckweed on it. And hopefully I'm going to get all that off. So there's some nice Java fern going in there. Oh, it's got a bunch of little pieces of Java Windelove growing on the spray bar. All right, what do we got going on back here? A lot of roots, whole lot of roots. Let's pull some of this. Oh, geez, let's pull some of these roots out of here. Oh, my good grief. You know, that was unnecessary. All those are little baby Java ferns too, so we'll throw all that in the bucket. But that looks like you can make a wig out of that. So that was definitely interfering with the water flow and the fish's swimmings. Let's see, we got a bunch of Java fern back here that can come out. Oh, that's pulling shit out with it. Rocks and stuff is coming up with it. Oh, hang on there, rock. You stay still. All right, success. That's more Java fern. Oh, what else we got? All right, let's get in and do some of this. Some nice crypt. If anybody wants any, my email's down below on my videos and whatnot. It's easy enough to find. So if anybody does want any of these plants, just shoot me an email. We'll work something out. All right, let's pull this big piece out too. I got scared for a minute. I was like, I know I got something draining somewhere. What the fuck? And I realized it's the tank I'm working on, so we're good. No, I didn't even think about it. I've contaminated this bucket with duckweed again. All right, well, we're in here doing this. Let's pull this big chunk out too. This will grow back soon enough. All right, I think that'll work. Let's go get a net and pull some of the duckweed out here while we're in here. It doesn't really matter. It's all going to work its way back into the lily pads and just get stuck in there, and only so much of it can grow. I never really have a problem with it outgrowing this tank, but it's free goldfish food, so why not get it while we're in here? I'm going to scoop up all these little bits of floating leaves and stuff too. I'll throw them in the goldfish pond. They'll enjoy it. That'll be gone in a day. I just stepped on something that crunched under my foot. It felt like a snail. I hope it wasn't, because that's gross. All right, that's good enough. Like I said, we don't need to worry about it. It'll get all caught up in the duckweed soon enough. I mean, in the tiger lily, tiger lotus, whatever you want to call that. It's technically a lotus, but most people call it a lily. Or it's technically a lily, but most people call it a lotus. Got to remember which brain I'm thinking with right now, because I got about 4 of them going. I really do love me some Hawaiian puff. but I really wish I had something alternative to my Hawaiian puff, because this stuff is like it's not a late night weed, to put it mildly. All right, let me get caught up on some comments here. Cecil. Yeah, I can understand that, Anna. How are you doing, by the way? Hello? Mary, hello? Has been a while. All right, I'm all caught up. That was fast. Hey, Logan. I don't know if I said hi already. No, I haven't had any shiners in quite a while. We can, however, move on to feeding the next tank, because that was a lot faster than I thought it was going to be. All I got to do now is wipe down the glass, but I'll wait till the water level's lower for that, and then fill it back up. That's going to be it for that water change. The problem with it is it's such a big tank. I knew once we got started it was going to be a solid hour and 40 minutes, hour and 45 minutes just to do the water change on that tank. They always take that long on the 125s. Yeah, I'm still looking in the wrong spot at that damn monitor. What the hell? Talk about being a creature of habit. I'll flip those doors closed and turn the overhead light off here for you. That'll make it a little easier to see what's going on. Let me try to get this hose set up. I got the cheap Vivor brand hose, which I don't have a problem with. It's just that it's really thin vinyl hose, so as it lays over the tank, the weight tends to make it kink a little bit, and you get very little suction after a while, especially as the tank starts getting low. So one of these days I'm going to build a little curved, like a half a PVC pipe or something, and bend it in a U shape, and I can fix it to that or something, and keep it a nice smooth curve rather than getting a kink in it. I don't know. We'll see. Don't forget, we also still have to salt the goldfish pond, and we're going to talk about the salt and the salt I'm using, because to the shock and dismay possibly of some of you, we're going to be using regular old iodized table salt, and what might look like a lot to some of you, but we'll talk about the quantity and the iodized salt versus the aquarium salt and all that kind of stuff. We'll have a whole conversation about salt. Salt. Might even throw a pinch over my shoulder. The fish kind of swim through it. They're really small, but they mostly swim around it. I got a couple, like the shark swims in and out, through it. I have a catfish in the bottom, though you'd never know it, and that'll come out and swim around through it. Even the discus will get down in it, and they're kind of made wafer thin for that very reason, so they can, go between tree roots and stuff. Because remember, in the wild, discus forage around on flooded forest floors. So the idea of not having substrate and whatnot in your tank seems kind of silly to me, considering where their natural habitat is. But to each their own. I thought about shooting another one of my Go Suck It Discus Keeper videos the other day. I don't know. I might do that. I need views. Videos like that get views. Oh, you know what? While we're throwing stuff in the goldfish tank, let's get a skimming of the, let me get my net back. Actually, let's get the big net this time. And we'll skim off my 40. So the next tank that's going to get a really big haircut is going to be this one, for fairly obvious reasons. I mean, you can see the whole tank. This is a 55, and it's got about 12 gallons of water that don't have, crypt in it. So let me go over here, and I don't know how I'm still working with my broken tripod and probably will be for the foreseeable future, so bear with me on that. It's going to be a little wobbly doing camera transitions. We still got food in there, but that's all right. I got to be careful of the betta fish because he hangs out near the surface. You have no idea how thick this is. It's like a mat down here on the end underneath the light. We'll make that our preliminary scoop. I'll let it drain into this plant for a moment. So I got that much in my preliminary scoop. Once that breaks up, it'll probably cover most of the surface of the pond. And we're going to pull some out of the 20-gallon tank when we get over there too. And the other thing I wanted to do in the gourami tank is I wanted to do a quick 5-gallon water change on that too and use the siphon to suck some of that cyanobacteria and whatnot out. I got in there before we went live and I got most of the algae off the glass. It took me 5 scrubby pads to get the glass wiped down. But you'll be able to see in that tank when we get over there. All right, that's enough. I'm not trying to get everything out of here entirely. That's still a pretty good second haul. Once it gets to be too much on the surface, I have a hard time getting the net wiped out because I can't put it in the water anywhere and pull it up without having the duckweed get on it. There we go, that'll work. And I guess we'll just leave that here for now because I'll use it on the 20-gallon. All right, you can see we still got a long way to go draining the 125. So let's move on and get the gourami tank fed. Actually, we'll feed the gourami tank and then I can get in there. We got plenty of time while we wait for that to drain, so we may as well get this done while we're in here. But we'll get it fed first. Oh, I swear to God, I keep looking in the wrong direction for my monitor. All right. There we go. I'll go get my app turned on too, and if the catfish comes out, we can get a close-up on that and give you guys the full experience. Gonna have to be hitting on my iced tea here pretty soon too. Connect camera. Get food. Geez, calm down, fish. It's your favorite time of day. They're probably still sketched out from me being in there wiping everything down. The angelfish doesn't mind. I got to gently nudge the angelfish out of the way, but the discus is still skittish for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's in there by itself. Please do what, Zini? Oh, yeah, Mary. When I say a haircut, I don't mean getting in there and trimming it with scissors. We're going to get in there like we did tonight. I pulled all that shit out. Oh, I'm sorry, Logan. I saw your question, but it vanished into my brain. Honestly, most of them, one by one, I lost them by jumping. I do still have minnows in the pond for some reason that have never jumped out, but all the minnows either got et as they grew. I don't even remember what tank they were in, but I remember some of them were disappearing mysteriously, and I think they were getting et. And then I found a bunch of them one by one on the floors until we only had that one left. And then one day I came down and found that one on the floor too. So I don't advise putting minnows. Yeah, the discus keep roasting. I got you. I don't advise putting minnows, especially wild caught minnows, in an open tank, an open top tank. And I'm a sucker for an open top tank. I have, Mary. Thank you. Yes, it is a striped Raphael. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. So I want to get in there, and you see all that shit, all that dark green matted looking stuff. I want to get in and vac all that out. There's a bunch in there that we can get in and look at. That's a chunky boy right there, or girl, perhaps. I don't know. Yeah, out of all the tanks here in the basement, only 3 of them have actual lids in the traditional sense. I have those sort of hoods built over my 55 and my 125. But the 29, the 40, and my other 55 are the only ones that actually have hoods on them, or real lids. My 40 is an open top. My 125 is an open top. The pond is open top. My 75 and my 20 are both open tops. I guess if you count my shrimp tanks, I do have 2 shrimp tanks in here that don't have that have tops on them. And my tank in the office has a is open top. Although the tank in my wife's room does have a hood on it. And for scale, I know it's kind of hard to tell, especially zoomed in. That's a 55-gallon tank. The belly, like the fattest, roundest part of that fish, is probably about the diameter of a tennis ball, give or take. So that gives you a little bit of idea of scale. Like I said, it's a big one. All right. We're still draining this tank. So let me... Damn it, I'm running out of buckets. I guess let me go dump this. No, do I have another one? I think I got another empty bucket in the other room. I'm going to have a lot of work to do tomorrow carrying buckets, dear Liza. I got to stop saying that. I'm going to get myself stuck, and then pretty much I'm almost there now. Every time I say the word bucket, I have to say dear Liza afterwards. Those of you who know. If you don't, I'm not explaining it. All right. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a bucket. I'm not going to say it. Let me unzoom you out here. I'm going to take a regular old vinyl hose, and we're going to do as much removal of Java moss and cyanobacteria as I can. I'm also going to get in there and clean the filter intake off because the water's barely even flowing. So let's see how much you can see. Much better. I'm going to get that glare off the top, and then you can actually see and see what I'm doing. The first stuff I'm going to do is going to be in the far corner over here. And I always work closest to the top first because as the water level goes down, you can't get to it anymore. So I'll get that first, and then we'll start working our way back. Let me get this hose in the proper way so it goes in there. Catfish is probably going to come back out. As soon as food gets near its barbels, wham, look at it go. It's on it. So unfortunately, we are going to remove some of that food, but oh well. There's so much of this moss. I need to get a lot of the cyanobacteria chunks out of there too. I think we might have to do 2 buckets on this one. I want to get a lot of the moss out, but I also want to get as much of the cyanobacteria. And I think we could probably do a whole bucket just getting moss out. Especially back here, it really messes with the way the water flows through the back of the tank. Well, that was satisfying. We got a bunch of that big chunky cyanobacteria out of there. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to do 2 buckets because this one's full. All right, let's go abuse my septic system. Well, you guys can stay there, but I got to go abuse my septic system. And not the way you would think. I guess all the snails that get dumped down the tank will at least get a lot of cyanobacteria and Java moss if they can survive in the septic tank. That wasn't too bad. All right, let's do that again. Oh, look at that. Now, damn it. Broke suction. Oh, it got started again. Nice. I'm gonna have to get in here by hand to get some of this stuff out. Oh, damn it. That blast of water at the end kicked the hose out of the bucket, and so all that last tube of water went all over the floor. Most of it did. Well, let me get the rest of it out. All right. So I don't know how well you can see it, but the power head in the back here is covered with the moss. It actually grows completely up and out of the tank. You can see it grows onto the stuff that's above the water. Java moss is crazy. All right, let's get the filter intake undone. Of course, this is where the discus always goes and hides. All right, now all we gotta do is fill it back up. Forgot about that part. I'm not going to worry about doing bucket after bucket to get it filled back up because we can throw the hose back in there when it's done. We're done with the 125. So let's get in the 125 actually and do a little bit of vacuum since I disturbed everything on the bottom so much. And we'll get back to that tank when we have a hose available. So let's see if I can get you a little closer. It's not as moamy as I thought it was going to be. A lot of shrimp in here still, though. Oh, speaking of shrimp, we got to get the shrimp out of the shrimp trap and put them over into the Great Wizard Queequeg Quads tank. Usually the real sediment is down the other end of the tank where the tiger lilies are, but we disturbed the hell out of that. So we'll let it all settle down. Next time I get in there, we can do another little gentle gravel vac and see how it goes. But let's get the glass wiped down now since we're in here. And we can wrap up the draining part in the next 10 or 15 minutes and then start filling it back up. We're going to do a really big water change while we're in here because why not? Oh, let me see. Either way, I'm going to have to cut. Let's use the melamine. I got to go cut another piece of it. You know, you think I would keep a knife over where I cut the melamine, but I never do. And I learned the hard way that I got to stop cutting the melamine on top of the brand new washing machine. It has what I thought was a glass lid, and so never crossed my mind that I might scratch it. And of course, there's a couple of big scratches in it now, and I don't know if I did actually cut the melamine on it before, but I might have. I must have set something on it. I could have set one of my filters on it that had a little piece of grit on the bottom and, you know, dragged it across it. I don't know, but there's definitely some scratches on our brand new washing machine lid. I'm not happy about it, especially since I'm the one that did it. If my wife did it, I wouldn't give a shit, but I did it, so I feel bad about it. She didn't really seem to care. All right, that'll give us a total of 7 pieces of melamine sponge. So I start with one of the big squares, and then I cut it down, cut it in half, and then I cut each half into 3 pieces, and so I get these little pads, and they're really good at cleaning the tank down, especially when it's all gross and dirty. Yeah, there's mystery plants that are coming up in the back of the tank and that I wasn't sure about. Are definitely here. Let's try to wipe some of this duckweed off of here first. They're definitely crypt from the front of the tank has made its way into the back now. There's usually not a lot of algae at this end of the tank for fairly obvious reasons, but you do get biofilm that will grow just about on anything in the tank. So, watch out, little guy. So even though there's no real green algae coming out on this sponge that I'm wiping the glass down with, it is still getting dirty. It's got brown crud on it, and it's not diatom. It's just biofilm. If I went in there and wiped the rocks and stuff down, I'd get a similar, growth. As we get further to this end, it'll likely get a little greener, just because the light can actually get to the glass and you get algae as opposed to just the regular old biofilm. So we're going to call that good for that sponge. God, that thing I stepped on was a little piece of aquarium gravel that fell off the bottom of one of the root balls, probably. So that's why it crunched under my foot. It wasn't a snail at all. Yay. No, I'm not really getting much green here either. It's still just that sort of brown color. You know what? Let's do something about this Anubias while we're in here too. It's getting a little out of control. It looks like it's forked, and I got 2 of them going on in there. So let's see what we got with that. Let's see if this is too much light. So, all right, where's my scissors? All right, what do we got going on with this Anubias? You know what? That's pretty easy. This one was just kind of floating. So how's that for some Anubias root? Is it not a gorgeous chunk of Anubias? So I got some Anubias for sale if anybody's looking for some. It's a small piece, but if you want it, it's available. It's a pretty good looking chunk. That's all one rhizome. Can you see the rhizome through there? Oh, it's got snails all over it too, so you're going to get some free snails with it. Except for these 4. It's got a little flower starting on it already. Oh, got a bucket full of plants out of here tonight, didn't we? All right, what else we got going on? Oh, look, I got a little baby Anubias coming up down there. Check that out. That's adorable. Can you see the little baby coming up between the rocks down there? So that's probably growing off of the roots or the rhizome of this one. And then the other one was just in here floating. This is all right in front of my power head too. So let's pull this out completely. Not really sure how that got back there in the first place. Come on, you two. All of you. Even you. All right, so that's a bunch more Java. We got a whole entire bucket full of plants. So, all right, I'm going to say it's about time to start filling this back up. Looks like somebody barfed up spaghetti and fajitas or something. But look, you can see that crypt in the back of the tank. But you'll notice, can you see those little tiny, those are pads. So that's actually red tiger lotus coming up right there. And if you look into the corner here, you see all the little tiny pads down in there. Those are all little babies starting to come up. So we left the one massive root body in there. But you can see we did a number on the rest where we tore it out. Well, it's not really coming out on camera. I'm casting shadows. But it's like a giant cavity right back in here. And then you can see like the broken roots that go to this one big piece right there in the corner. So, all right, let's start filling her back up. And we'll call that good on the water change for the 125. I'll have to do a bong hit in there and fill it up with smoke too. So let's get the water flipped around and I'll come do that. All right, let's do a nice big chunky bong hit. See, when the water is out of the tank, you can really see how purple that background is. Once it gets filled up, you don't really notice it as much. At least I don't. I guess maybe somebody might, but I don't really notice how purple the background is. All right, everybody, cheers. More Hawaiian puff. There's some smoky ambiance. I blew it in too hard. It's all blowing out the other end. Now I got to do another one. Hang on. That's a big one too. Damn. I'm getting too old to bend over anymore. Try it from this end. That was an even bigger one. Well, that'll last a few minutes. Damn. All right. Am I ready to talk about salt in the tank? No, I'm not. I gotta let my brain relax from that one a little bit. That was a wowie zowie. All right, let's get in here and skim a little duckweed off the top. Probably should have got my smaller net for this tank. The beauty of this method is whatever little baby water sprite or other little bits of floating plant or whatever come up with it, it's all fine. It can all go in the goldfish tank. They eat it all. So even from that little bit, we still got a huge lot of it. You can see how that other stuff spread around the pond already. Damn, I'm tripping over stuff. That was a doozy. 2 of them. All right, let me go see if I'm missing any messages. We also got to get the Great Wizard fed. So we can do that for a little bit while we let the tank fill up, because that's going to take a while. So let's get you over here. I got to get in there and pull that tape off of the back. I really don't like this pill bottle, but you can see the level. It's all the way down to here now. So I was 3/4 of the way full of there's on top the bubbler, and it's got crushed coral in it. So as the water bubbles up through the crushed coral, it mineralizes the water. And I've gone through about half of that bottle already. So over here, you can see the tape that I put on the back to block the hole, you know, to prevent the fish from jumping out, is come untaped and falling down into the water. And so the tape on the top side is still intact. That's why it's still hanging there, where the 2 tapes are stuck together. It's still sealing that hole. But the part that was on the plastic under the tank has gotten moist and fallen off. So I need to do something about that. It looks ugly as shit. And I'm really not, I'm going to replace that hose on the left. You can see how it's just glows white. I have black tubing that I can put in there that'll be much more discreet than that. That looks like a friggin' neon white light glowing in the corner. It annoys the shit out of me. Anyway, let me throw some food in there and get that forward light turned on, and then we can do some zoom in action. She should come out. I did a water change on this tank earlier, and she gets a little freaked out by the water changes. I'm not really sure why. I've done enough of them at this point, but she still gets a little weirded out by them. And we'll usually go in the back and hide behind the filter. So if you're probably first going to see her coming out at this end, if she does come out at all. But for anybody that's wondering about the tank, it is starting to clear up. I've done a series of small water changes on it. Each time I do, it gets clearer afterwards. And tonight, because I knew I was doing the show, it was still a little bit cloudy. And just for visual sake, I wanted to, just make the tank look more presentable so we could actually see the fish in there. So you can tell there is still a little bit of cloudiness to it. I only did about a 70% water change. It's not like I drained the tank. I did a big water change, but, not that much. And so hopefully it will stay this clear, and then gradually it will get even clearer, and eventually it'll be fully done. I'm still not sure what really went on with that. Steve. I have an idea, but I'm not sure. All right, let me get caught up. I gotta. Okay, I remember that comment. Heavyweight, how are you this evening? My spray bar just comes off of my canister filter. All right, we got some sports ball talk. Actually, if out of all the sports there are aside from surfing, hockey would be one that I would almost be interested in. Yeah, I was going to say that that Anubius is tiny to me. Aquarium Boss, how are you this evening? TK, how are you? Cecil's back. Yeah, that tank it needs it once in a while, but I'm not one of those people that likes to do frequent minor maintenance, so it sort of just stays looking like the way you saw the picture on the box. Um, it's like my garden. It grows in, and then as the seasons change and stuff gets bigger, it needs to be trimmed back, or from one season to the next, one summer to the next, I have to get out and divide bulbs up and spread them out because that clump is just getting too big, or too dense. It's just I treat it like that. And so this was definitely time to get in there and do a spring cleaning. I needed to really thin out the crypt. The tiger lotus was just and probably still is out of control. It needed it. It'll look good and it'll grow back. It's just like hair. Oh, I didn't even think about that, Steve. I should have removed the discus first. No, I would never do that, Mary. I don't mind blowing smoke on the water, but if you blow smoke through the water, it functions like a bong and it filters out all of the crap. It won't put anything in the water that would get the fish high, but it's putting all the tar and all that kind of stuff in there that would just go into the water. You ever smelled bong water? It's nasty. I would not want to do that into my fish tank. Mr. Natural. Ducks do indeed eat it, hence the name. I do not have any ducks in my pond, though. Yeah, Mr. Natural. That's a running gag here on my channel. George, how are you? Earlier on in my hobby days, I was always afraid of keeping discus because of all the stuff I heard, and a lot of it was really, truly ridiculous. And long story short, by the time I finally did get some, and I was keeping them like regular fish in a big community tank full of plants and substrate and all the things I'm not supposed to do. At first, I got a lot of grief from other discus keepers, and I got told my discus were malformed and stunted, and the tank looked like shit. And I just got so much hate from discus keepers, and I laughed it off every time. I just it was just hilarious to me. It almost sounded like they were trying. I don't know who they were trying to convince more, me or themselves. And I would always just tell them, like, dude, I've got eyes. I'm sitting in front of the tank. I can see what it looks like. Stop telling me it's ugly. It's not. Anyway, it just became a thing. And at this point, I feel like just doing videos just to spite those people. And remember, when I say discus keeper, I'm not talking about fish keepers that happen to keep discus like myself. I'm talking about those people that don't consider themselves fish keepers, mere mortals like us. They're discus keepers. And I've had people say that to me. I've had people yell at me, like, don't call me a fish keeper. I'm a discus keeper. Piss off. I hate people like that. And so if I can shoot a video that'll piss off people like that, that's good for business. Well, what is supposed to be in this tank, and she's in there somewhere, is the great wizard Queequeg in her fish form. And of course, the form of fish she decided to take was a Polypterus or a Bashir. And like I said, I did a water change earlier, and she's always a little spooked after water changes. So even with the food in there, I don't think she's going to be making an appearance tonight. So we can get on with salting the other tank, and I'll see if she comes out. We can bring the camera over. Let's see if I can spot her. She usually hides underneath the sponge filter in the back. She coils around it. I don't see her back there. Oh, I see her. She's all the way in the other corner. Let's see if we can see her from the end of the tank. She's not hiding. She's just laying out chilling. No, she's kind of hiding. Can you see her tail sticking out right there? I'm looking at my monitor, but I don't know how well that's actually coming out. But there's her tail. And you might be able to make out her little face back there. Almost looks like a little snake's head sticking out. So she's in there. She's just not really coming out at the moment. Oh, we still need to feed the other 125. So let's go do that. I just looked down there and saw my Mr. Fabulous, who is indeed getting just fabulouser by the day. I'll regret doing that. I was going to set my vape down on the edge of the pond. I know where that's going to end up. Let me turn the spotlight on them so you really get a good look at how shiny they are. All right. Let's get some food thrown in there. I told you I had a ton of shit I wanted to get done tonight. This Hawaiian puff just fucking kills me. It's like brain coffee. Definitely not good for the ADHD. I really need my damn mushrooms again. I haven't had mushrooms in so long. I feel like all the progress I made with the ADHD is just gone. All right, so we'll get a little bit of munching on the flake food, and then I'll throw the main course in. I'll throw the algae wafers in. And at this point, Mr. Fabulous is twice the size of Flo. I mean, it's ridiculous how much bigger he is. And he's still showing no signs of slowing down. I really have no idea how big that fish is actually going to get. You can see him creeping in from the side there. I was going to move the camera, but I think he'll move into view now. Yeah, there he comes. All right, let me get some of my iced tea while the fish are doing their thing, and then we'll throw the algae wafers in for them. Let's see if I can get close enough to get to my phone. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Oh, look at Flo coming over saying, "Get off my porch." Look how tiny Flo's little head looks sticking in the edge of the screen there. All right, let's throw some algae wafers in. Oh, there's Flo. Oh, look at her go. Can't believe that big ass fish is eating all those little bits off the bottom. All right, I'm not fucking with the screen. Let's throw some algae wafers in. The tank is filling nicely. We still got about 5 or 6 inches left of water to go in. All right, buddy, that's the one you're waiting for. All right, let me try to zoom out a little bit. There we go. Just want to get the main feeding area. All right, now I'm going to puff on some of my cherry berry, which tastes like cough drops. Oh, my shark's out. I wish Shamu was here. Are you still awake, Steve? Do you know what Luden's cherry cough drops taste like? Because you're the one I actually wanted to talk to about the new vape juice brand I found. So if you're still awake, let me know and I'll tell you about it. In fact, let me come get my tablet. Right now, the brochure is about 6 inches, and we'll probably get maybe 9 at full grown. This one is actually a pearl cichlid. It's a type of geo. Oh, yeah, the blue or the green doesn't sound good there, Anna. Flo is the yellow fish with the spots on the side. She's a spotted tilapia from West Africa. Oh, we still got my shrimp trap set. Thank you for reminding me there, Art. Yeah, so I got this new brand of vape juice, and the online company eJuice Connect has shipped me eJuice, no questions asked. I didn't even know it was illegal because I ordered some from them first, and then I tried. When I got it, it was so good. I was just like, oh my god, I want to get a different flavor. And I went to the normal place I go to, which is. Oh, hang on. Let me move the screen. You can possibly see Flo over here fussing with the pleco. So I went to Element Vape, and I bought that newer vape. It's not quite the one you have. I got the model below the one you have because I don't need quite all those bells and whistles. But I definitely want to upgrade from this little mini. So when I ordered that, I figured might as well grab a bottle of this. You know, it's Cloud Nerds is the brand. And as soon as I tried to buy it, it said we can't ship to Maryland. It's against the law, etc. And so I was like, I don't know. But my shit from eJuice Connect showed up. So I'm going to order from them if I want any more. Plus, the vape shop over in Westminster carries it. But if you've not tried Cloud Nerds, try it. The grape watermelon, I'm sorry, the apple watermelon tastes like a Jolly Ranchers watermelon candy. The apple grape tastes like a grape popsicle. And what I'm smoking tonight is the cherry berry, and it tastes just like a Luden's cherry cough drop. It's really, really good. Um, I'm almost treating it like candy. I'm enjoying the flavor of it as much as I am the nicotine part. Oh, Anna, I've tried 4 times now to inoculate that little bag that I got from Amazon, and I have not had any luck at all getting that. Like nothing's ever grown in that bag, so I'm throwing that thing away, and I'm kind of done with that Amazon bag. I only paid $18 for it, so I'm not even going to throw that in the mulch pile outside. I'm just going to throw that away. And then my big bag that I inoculated with the that new Jedi Mindfuck, it feels like it's been a while. I re-inoculated it again over a week ago, and I checked, and it's got some patches of white here and there, but it's not really doing much. So I don't know what's going on with this one. My first run was a fantastic success, and it's the second one was okay, but not as good. And like each consecutive one's gotten more challenging. Like I should be ready to like start fruiting by now. I should have been harvesting by mid-April, and here we are, the fifth, and I still don't even really have a bag I can mix up and get to the next stage yet. So I might just order that first thing again. Just go back and get the same product from the same company. I did go to the same company, but I got a different type of mushroom, so I might reorder another bag and just get those golden teachers again because they were easy as shit. Um, I got way overconfident from growing them. That was just so easy. Um, I couldn't believe it. It was ridiculous how easy that first batch was. Not so much since then. Wow, I can already see so much light shining in the far end of this tank. It looks like a different tank already, and it's going to be cloudy for another day or so. By tomorrow, it'll be nice and clear again. But we are coming around the home stretch, so I'll move you here shortly. All right. The reason that's all sparkly like that is because I have my overhead spotlight pointed at the tank. That's what the tank looks like, just au natural. And look, just from here, look how friggin' bright this end of the tank is. Remember, it looked like a giant storm cloud, like from here over, it was just darkness. Then nothing was eating the tank from the left to the right. Well, from the right to the left, but it looks wrong on my monitor. Everything still looks backwards to me after all the years I've been doing this. All right, we do need to talk about the salt before we wrap it up tonight. Oh, the brochure's out. Let's get back over there with the camera and get some good close-ups. All right, let me get my zoom in on. She'll come back out. Let me see, Anna. The place that I got my stuff that worked really well was called Grow Magic. And the reason I went there was because they can't legally sell the grow kits and the spores. So you probably already know this. You have to like buy a grow bag from one company, and they'll recommend who you can get some spores from another company. I wanted to just do it all in one, and the Grow Magic does it that way. They're a little more expensive, but you just place your order with them. You select your spores, you select your bag, and just place the order, and they take care of getting the spores shipped to you. It still comes from a different company. You'll get two separate packages, but they do all of that, and it just comes to you, and all you do is make that one single purchase. And so that's who I went with the first time. And again, well, the second bag, the one that I'm still struggling with, I guess we can pull it out and have a look at it. We'll see. It's been like 3 days since I checked it, so we'll see if anything's changed. I was going to say it can't hurt, but that could possibly be why I'm not having any luck, is because I check it so often. I really should just let it sit. But I'm not gonna. The last time I checked it, I let it sit for like 10 days. And I just did not see much in the way of growth. It's 28 degrees in here Celsius. So what's that? 70, upper 70s. So it's plenty warm enough. It's plenty moist enough. So, all right, I'm going to set this on the floor and open it, and then I'll just hold it in front of the tank when I get it open. Yeah, we'll see what we got. I don't see a whole lot of white. You know, it's more than the last time I looked at it, but not a lot. Nothing on the bottom. So you see a little bit of growth, that white growth on the top. A little bit of growth in there. Looks like maybe something starting near the where I re-injected it recently. So I'm just going to put it away again and let it sit for a while. I'll try not to handle it. I'm guessing maybe handling it too much is like disturbing the mycelium and preventing it from really spreading and growing. I don't know. But again, that first one was so easy. But again, on the first one, I did it exactly by the instructions. I injected it. I let it sit for 2 weeks without touching it. After 2 weeks, I opened it up and had a big old nut of mycelium right in the middle of it. So I broke that all up. I let it sit for 2 more weeks. And when I opened it up, it was just a big white cake. And then it started fruiting and everything went perfectly. So since then, I've been trying to speed the process along by giving it, 10 days and then trying to mix it up and get it started faster. And maybe that's where I went wrong. I should have just followed the instructions. All right, where's my phone? It's over here. I don't know if you can see her or not, but she's right there chilling out. She is the coolest fish ever. And I say she because we did Zini and I, through Zini's help, actually. So I guess technically I should say Zini figured out that is definitely a female based on the fin shape. Spore saucery. Yeah, I didn't do my extra spores the first time. I kept them in the warm ass room. But since then, I've been keeping them in the refrigerator. I don't really know. I don't have a whole lot of experience to share with you other than what I've already told you. Another thing I did differently, and this is going to get kind of weirdly technical, but the first batch of spores, when I got the syringe, it was full of a clear liquid, and in the middle of that clear liquid, you could clearly see like a little cloudy area that looked like almost like frog eggs, but without the black dots. It was like a jelly-like stuff in the middle. And I assumed that's where the spores were. So I injected enough of it into the bag that I watched some of that gray matter go into the, out the needle and into the bag. And then I let it sit for 2 weeks without touching it. But when I got to the end of that spore or that syringe, if you'll remember, I drew some water up into it and shook it. And I got some gray material swirling around and I injected that. I did get some initial growth, but it was in that Amazon bag and then it just vanished and went away. But I did get some growth from it. So the idea I got was when the syringe arrives, there's no air bubble or anything in it. And so you can't shake it. There's no, the fluid can't move around. And so that gray material always just kind of stayed in the middle. So what I did was I held the syringe upright and drew back on the plunger. You can draw just a little bit of an air bubble in there. And then I shook it a little bit and that really mixed it all around. And then I injected like 2 mil. I made sure plenty went in, but I didn't overdo it. And then I made sure I squeezed the air bubble out. I put the cap back on and into the refrigerator. And when I re-injected it, I did the same thing. I drew some air into it and, shook it. And then when I was done, I squeezed the air bubbles back out. So maybe drawing the air in and shaking it and mixing oxygen in there might have killed the spores or something. But I did it on the initial, the initial injection still should have done something, if maybe even over long term, introducing oxygen in there might have been damaging. But spores, spores can live for like 100 years. I always thought, like, I don't know, they can like travel on comet dust in outer space and still land on a planet and spur new life. So I wouldn't think the way I'm treating it was going to be that abusive. Oh, Jesus, I forgot we're filling this tank. And it is fucking full. Holy crap. I knew when I closed those hoods, I was going to regret doing that because with them being open, I could remember I was doing this. So check this out. Wow, talk about fucking timing. Oh, I forgot you're all zoomed in. But look at that water level. So I definitely got to it. I mean, I had another minute, maybe, tops before it started flowing over. All right, now we got to get the hose over into that tank and get that one filled up. But let me get you... I'm draining this one a little bit right now, so we're just going to let that one drain for a few minutes before shutting the water off. I've done this enough times now that in panic mode, don't waste your time. I have one of those valves on the sink, and so don't waste your time trying to turn the water off while you're that close to overflowing. Just flip that valve, and it actually starts pulling water back out of the tank immediately. And so I did shut the water off, but I still got the valve open. I'm just letting some water drain. That's a little over full for my taste. And then after that, we'll get the gourami tank topped off, and then we can wind it down. Oh, we still got to salt the tank too. Good grief. When I mixed it around the first time, which was probably, again, too soon, I didn't really feel anything in the middle. The first time I did it, I was really surprised. When I started, I picked up the bag, I could see right up front there was like this big plug of white, and I just assumed it was kind of on the front of the bag. And when I went, I mushed my thumbs up into the bottom of it, and it felt like there was a baseball in the middle of the mass. I mean, it was this huge, chunky thing. I had to like break it apart and mix it around, and I could see big chunks of white all mixed around in it. And I got nothing like that ever since. So again, I don't know. I might just go back to square one. Depends on what kind of a month I have financially, if I can afford to do that. All right, let's get the. God, you think I'd stop doing that? Let's get the gourami tank filled up. We got a lot done tonight. I'm gonna sleep. I didn't get my nap today. I didn't really get any sunshine or fresh air today either. The sun didn't come out till like 4 o'clock. By then, I was done being out doing anything. It was all gray and drizzly. Rained like shit for a little while. Like standing puddles all around the house, water flowing down the hill. It was crazy. We need it though. Last time I looked at the reservoir, it was way low. All right, we got the power head plugged back in. We got the filter flowing again. And the fish actually have room to swim. No, I never did feed this tank, did I? I guess we can feed the discus tank too. Add that to the friggin' list. All right, we'll do that while we're filling the gourami tank. See how well they want to feed after all that they went through, because they went through a lot. I deforested their home. Ta-da! Look how much prettier that is. Beautiful. And like I said, you give it another 12 hours. By tomorrow morning, it'll be nice and pretty again. It'll be all clear. All right, this time I'm going to keep my damn eyeball on that tank after I read these comments. Which one am I going to cook? Yeah, I'm not worried about the. Well, I haven't had any problem with the sterilization or anything. Now, I will say for that one batch that I had that I was hoping that I would get a few more, it didn't do great, but I did get some out of it. In the end, I kept squirting water in there and misting it down every day because the top always looked dry. And then one day I picked it up and I realized like the bag was like heavy. And when I looked, the bottom, inch was just black and murky and gross. So I way overwatered that one. So I know what I did with that. That has since ended up out in the mulch pile, all mixed around with all the mulch for the garden beds. I guess I should probably throw that Amazon bag out there too. It's not like it'll hurt it. And we know it won't grow any mushrooms. Now we've still got my damn shrimp trap to look at too. Let me pull that out of there and see what we got going on in it. Oh, you know what? Let's not do that. Let me pay attention to that tank filling up. That's how I overfill shit. I start doing something else, I get distracted. So this is 55. This one won't take long. It's already up to about maybe an inch left. This is an action-packed live stream. The Anubias had a bract on it. I call it a flower because that's what everybody thinks when they look at it. But we all know technically it's not a flower, it's a bract. But yes, the piece I cut off did have that. I don't even know what I would have to charge if somebody wanted to buy that one, because that was a big ass chunk. I'd have to put that in a box. I don't think that's going to fit in any of the envelopes I've got. And that's how I save on shipping, is shipping envelope rather than box. Price goes way up when you even put it in a small box. I guess I could get one of those, if it fits, it ships boxes, do a medium size one. Yeah, that one's been in there though. That's old and past. I thought you were talking about a new one. I get so many of those little. Speaking of a new one, we do have a new one in the 40 that just opened up the other day. It's all nice and pretty and white. All right, let me. In for a penny, in for a pound. Let's go ahead and do this while I'm here too. Get the 20 topped off, because that's can use a little bit of water. That won't take long at all. There's so much duckweed on the filter intake that the water's barely flowing. Thought the filter was clogged already, but it's not. It's just the intake covered in duckweed. And that brown hairy roots from the Java. All right, this one's not going to take but a moment. And then I'll go shut that water off, and we'll almost be done for the night. We got a couple more things to do, and then I'll be out of here. Gonna have to get in and do a vacuum on this one too. That hair algae's all growing back. I don't even think we fed this tank either. Well, you're not gonna get to see it, but I am gonna feed it. All right, I'm gonna call that good. At least by the time I get in here and turn it off, it'll be good. All right, let's get the hose put away. This thing got to work out tonight. All right, what is next on the list? Let's have a quick look at the filter here, the trap for the shrimps. Oh, damn it. I always do that. I bump the little filter tray and knock it loose. All right, we always get a shit ton of snails off of this. Let me try to collect as many of them on the outside as I can. Well, this actually isn't many at all. All right, and throw these in the 29 over here, because we didn't feed that one either. At least the loaches will get some food out of that. Here, let me turn this on. Now we got a bunch of little shrimpies in there. Got a whole lot of snails in there too. You're not really going to be able to see the shrimp from that angle. You might get to see them as I dump them in here. Try not to get too many snails. Oh, so many tiny little shrimp. All right, now let's get the snails out. I'm sure there's probably still going to be shrimp in here too. I got a thing in the other room that I dump it, and then the snails separate from the shrimp. That's how many snails are still in there. Probably got some shrimp in here too, so let's see if any swim out. Oh yeah, there goes a couple already. That seems like all of them, and you know what? The rest of them, other than the ones that I accidentally dropped in the tank, I'm just going to throw the rest of these in the gourami tank. Oh, there's still a couple shrimp in the container too, so we need to rinse that out. All right, well, that's a feast for the gourami tank. Good grief. It's like dumping a bucket of popcorn in the tank. All right, I think that's everybody. There's one snail left in there, you stupid little bastard. Get on out of there. Oh, there you are. Throw that in the pond. All right, last but not least, we're going to salt the goldfish tank. So let's get this turned off. Let's not knock anything over. All right. Come on, God damn it, roll the way I want you to. So this is my 75-gallon fancy goldfish tank. And if you'll notice, we got some white spots on this one here, more than you can really see on camera, but there are definitely white spots aside from that large obvious one. So I did a water change. When I've seen issues like this before, water change always seemed to clear it up. This did not. I tried Canaplex. I'm still seeing it, and I'm actually seeing a few more white spots than I saw before. So tonight we're going to salt the tank after we already did a big water change earlier, and that is how much salt we're going to put in there. It's not actually as much as I wanted to, but I ran out of salt. This was all I had. When you salt a tank, and this is not marine salt that you would use for brackish water, this is just regular sodium chloride. It's table salt, and this literally is table salt. I'll show you what I used in a moment. The standard amount for the minimum, if you don't want to oversalt, you go with 1 teaspoon per gallon. And this is a 75-gallon tank, so I went with 70 gallons just to be on the safe side. We do have some displacement of the water with the rocks, the fish, the plants, everything. So we're calling it 70 gallons. So in theory, this should be 70 teaspoons, but 70 teaspoons would be almost a cup and a half. I think it was like 1.475 or something. This is a little less than that, but again, that's all I had. And the salt that it actually is my local grocery store. Basic standard iodized table salt. Now, I don't recommend the iodized salt. It is easy enough to get the kosher salt, which does not have the iodide in it. But even the kosher salt still has the anti-caking agent in it. So if you are worried about adulterants in your salt, well, first of all, you shouldn't be, but buy the very, very expensive aquarium salt, and then you won't get any of those additives. but the anti-caking agent is absolutely negligible. There's so tiny little bit of it in there that it doesn't matter. And likewise with the iodide, remember, it's not iodine, it's iodide. And there is so little of that in there that if you were to use this and put enough iodide in the water to get to where the iodide was toxic, you would have pickled the fish in brine long before you ever got to that point. So again, don't recommend it, but if this is all you got in a pinch, it ain't going to hurt either. So that's all I've got to say about the salt. Now we got to put it in the tank. And I don't want to just dump the salt in. So what I do is I let some water swirl in, and this usually takes a little while. We'll let that water pour back out. And you can see just, I don't even have to swirl it, just pulling it into the container gets it plenty salty enough. So I'm trying to avoid actual grains of salt going into the tank. I don't want the fish gobbling them up. And if we do it a little more slowly like this, it'll mix through the water. There's very little water circulation in this tank. And so I'll mix it up a little bit myself. But you can clearly see the different water where the salty water is mixing with the fresh water. And it'll become completely clear soon enough. It looks so much cloudier on camera than it does in real life. In real life, it looks like, you know, when you see like the shadows of heat, like that Schlieren imagery, that's what it looks like when it's swirling through the water. To me, I can like see through it, but it looks shimmery. And on camera, it looks like almost white and cloudy. It's weird. Got to give my left arm a break. Might only be 3/4 of a gallon of water, but holding it extended outright like this at arm's length is gets a little tiring after a while in the old shoulder muscles. People don't realize how small your deltoids are, and that's pretty much the only thing holding it up is my deltoids. Oh, I forgot that little bulb is still floating around in there. It's still got the little lily pads growing off of it. So I have another baby bulb of a tiger lotus in here that I got to get planted at some point. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty now. It'll start, I'll have to start swirling it to get the last little bit of salt out. Oh, and another thing we're going to do, and this really will cloud the tank up, and so we'll call it a night when we do that. All gone. Another possibility that could be concerning to the fish is that goldfish tend to like harder water, and my water has like no mineralization. I have mixed a little bit of aquarium crushed coral in there, but not much. And so the water might be too soft for them, especially right after big water changes. So we're going to put some, this is mostly crushed coral. I know it says oyster shell. It does have oyster shell in it, but it's mostly crushed coral. And when we put this in, I'm deliberately not going to rinse it. And the reason I'm not going to rinse it is because the white cloudiness that we're about to see overwhelm this tank is dust from the material. So it's tiny, 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 tiny little pieces of this crushed coral that will be a massive amount of surface area on little tiny particles, and therefore will dissolve into the water fairly quickly and alter the chemistry in the direction I want as quickly as possible. Of course, the goldfish are probably going to try to eat it, but I guess they're smart enough to spit it out when they do it. But I'm going to put a fair amount in, and then I'm going to mix it in with the... Actually, I might not even mix it in just yet. We'll just let it sit in the back for a while at the surface level. It's not like you guys can even really see it when I'm putting it. I think one more little handful down at this end. Let's see, where can't you see it? So this gives you a really good illustration of when I say there's not a lot of water flow in this tank, I think that that's a pretty good example of what I'm talking about. You've got a little bit, I've got my one bubble thing directed kind of going that way. It really needs to be right at the surface of the water to be most effective. Otherwise, the bubbles are just sort of coming upwards. So if it's doing that, it gets a little bit of directional flow that way. You can see that bubble swirling. And so I get a little tiny bit of directional flow that way. And then likewise with this one, I have it blowing sort of towards us. And the idea is we get the water gently moving in a circle. And you can see it's slowly mixing in, but it's also just settling down on the bottom. So this tank is very, very little water flow through it. So there you go, everybody. We did it. I got everything on my agenda done tonight. And I didn't collapse with exhaustion yet. So look how open and clear that is. The fish are probably like, what the fuck happened to my nice dark spot that I like to go lurk in? It's not dark anymore. I can actually see. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to wind it down. I am bushed. Back hurts. I'm going to sit down and relax. And it is already after 10. That's a pretty good night for considering how much stuff we got done. All right, let's move you back over here. Get caught up on some comments. I'll do a final bong hit for the night. All right. Make sure I'm not tripping over anything. All right, where was there it was. Hey, Mike, how are you this evening? I just got done too, Janice. Thank you, Bob. Yeah, Janice, the goldfish has some white spots developing on it, and I don't really know exactly what they are. So we're going to just salt the water and add some mineralization to it, and hopefully it'll clear up. I'm not panicking, but I don't know exactly what I'm looking at. It's possible that the goldfish is hiding against a piece of wood or a rock or something, and it might be rubbing a raw spot, but I really don't think so. I'm starting to see like dots and spots on various areas, and don't anybody suggest ick. It's definitely not ick. So that's why I added the salt, and hopefully we'll see what happens. Let me see if I can give you guys a little more of a close-up look, and you'll see what I mean. So that's the better looking side. This is the side that has the big white spot. The white on the tips of the tail has always been there. That's just part of the fish. But you can see like on her dorsal area, it's got some sort of white patches. She's back there picking up the stuff I just put in. See like the white patches on her, up on her dorsal area. The leading edge of her dorsal fin has white patches on it. Up above her eye has those sort of white areas. Yeah, there's a good look at them. So that's definitely not ick, but I don't know what it is. And I don't know why it is. Like if it, if the tank was unkempt, if I'd been going through a period of depression or something, and maybe I'd think it was a fungal infection or something, because it kind of looks like one, but not really. But it's one of my most pristine tanks in the room, or I'm not using that word technically correctly, but I use it in the vernacular. So yeah, I don't know. So I'm not, I always sort of start at the low end and work my way up. We started with the water change. We tried some Canaplex. Now we're going to salt the tank, add some mineralization, and see what happens. So hopefully it'll be all right. Otherwise, I don't really know what to do. Maybe get some General Cure next. Try that. Maybe some malachite green. Possibly put some ICX in there. ICX, well, I didn't even think about that. ICX cures almost everything. So if I don't see an improvement within a week or so, we'll try the ICX next. Yeah. Only on that one. The other ones look fine. Now the other ones are white, but these areas are raised a little bit. They are slightly proud of her body. So it's not like a patch. It's something there. I just don't know what it is. Again, it doesn't look like fungal, but there's a lot of kind of funguses out there. So who knows? And again, the tank is as clean as could be. I did a nitrate test before the water change tonight, and that's what it looked like. So I don't know, but I'm calling it a night, everybody. I am bushed. I was going to talk a little bit about my channel. I don't feel like it now, so I'm not going to. I did a members stream on Wednesday, and I gave it what felt like about 10 or 15 minutes. It turns out it was only like 6, but nobody showed up, and so I wasn't going to just stand there and just like wait for somebody to show up to the party. After nobody was there for a while, I just turned the camera off and called it a night. So we'll try again this next Wednesday, and provided someone's there, we can talk about what I've been thinking about with the channel and everything. No big deal, no great changes or anything going forward. More just in the way I think about it than anything you guys are really going to see. One thing you might notice that you will start seeing in the future, and I will probably get around to explaining this one day, is you might start seeing a lot of product review-y kind of stuff. And it's almost wholly for tax reasons. If I can make some money off it, that's great. I am an Amazon affiliate. And so not just with fish keeping stuff, but laundry soap or stuff I buy for the yard, garden products. You might see some of that stuff start popping up on the channel. But again, that's going to be more for tax reasons than anything else. And again, I'll go into more detail at some point in the future, I'm sure. But Wednesday night, we'll probably talk a little more about that and why and et cetera, et cetera. So you got something to look forward to this week anyway. So on that note, I am going to say good night to everybody. I said I would do one last bong hit, so I'll do that. Give you guys a chance to say good night to each other if you wish. And then we'll get out of here. I got some Tropicana cookies that is almost done. I don't want to get impatient and cut it down before it's ready. I want to let it get fully ripened, but it's got maybe a week to go. And so by the time I'm cutting that one down, I'm going to be probably running out of my Hawaiian puff, which obviously never had time to fully cure. But I have started cycling a few more plants in. So hopefully, and I know I've been saying this forever, we'll get to that point where I'm actually getting some stock, backed up on me. Not quite there yet. I do have plenty, and it's amazing. I'm just not quite where I want to be yet, but we're close. All right, everybody. This is my final bong hit for the night. Let's see. All right. I'm going to call it a night. So if you enjoyed the show, check it out next Friday. I usually do them Friday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m., depending on how I feel. It's not written in stone, but that's what I go for. You never know. I might do an oddball. So subscribe, ring the bell. That way you'll get a notification. Otherwise, I do a members only live stream on Wednesday. That's $2.99 a month for membership. And you can be there for that. And you also get access to my Discord server. So keeping all that in mind, I'm going to say goodnight. And members, I will see you guys Wednesday, hopefully. And everybody else, probably. I'll see you next Friday. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys had a good time. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Good night.